Let me start by saying I gave a lecture in Atlanta a couple of weeks ago, and the Centers for Disease Control is there, and I was talking to one of their chiefs, and he said something that I have believed myself for a long time, but it was very nice to hear it from him. He said, "I don't know, Chick, where AIDS would be today if you hadn't been where you were when you were." I went into office as the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Health in March of 1981. And in June, the first cases of AIDS were presented to us. We didn't call it AIDS then, but they were all homosexual men, and they had a very peculiar type of pneumonia that nobody around the table had ever seen except me. And then in September, they presented 23 cases of homosexual men who had a peculiar type of sarcoma called CACE sarcoma, again, which nobody had seen except me, and I'd only seen one case. And to suddenly have 23 cases in one city was overpowering. And all of a sudden, AIDS was on us, and we had this tremendous lack of knowledge because we didn't know what caused the disease, we didn't know how to test for the disease, we didn't know it was passed by blood, but it became associated with drug abuse, with sexual promiscuity, and with IV drug paraphernalia. And a huge number of the conservatives in this country said they deserve what they got, just ignore them and let them die. Well, you can't be a doctor and do that. You can't be the Surgeon General and do that. I'm the Surgeon General of the moral and the immoral, the males and the females, and you treat them as you would any patient that comes to you for help. And if I had known more about what the Surgeon General was supposed to do, I probably would have been too timid to do some of the things that I did. But I stepped into a job that nobody gave me. I became, more or less by circumstance and pressure, the government spokesperson for AIDS. And in so doing, I was able to stop the hysteria because people would have thought in those days that if I picked up your wristwatch strap, I could get AIDS. If I drank out of your glass, I could. If we shook hands, I could. If I used your typewriter, we could. And I made it very clear in the report Mr. Reagan asked me to write for the people how you did not get AIDS. That was a tremendous benefit to the public. And how you did get AIDS, and I made the point that we were fighting a disease and not the people who had it. And you said I caused controversy. Everything I ever said caused controversy. And that's because of the nature of the job. If we had an anthrax scare here in Chicago tonight and the Surgeon General said, "This is what I think you should do," he'd split the public. Half would say he's crazy, the other half would say, "Isn't it good we've got that man doing this job?" And the interesting thing is these people who are against you and these are for you, next week might change sides when you say something else. And so it's a controversial job, and you have to have a very thick skin, and you cannot let yourself be pushed by political pressures about what is politically correct and what is not.